At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
We all kind of take it for granted, don't we? Just being seen, being remembered by people.
Yeah, definitely.
That little nod from the person at the coffee shop or, your neighbor who knows about your weird jacket collection, maybe.
Or the librarian who just gets what you like to read.
Exactly. But what if one day all of that just started to fall apart? What if the world literally started forgetting you? Not just strangers, but everyone, your friends, your family, until you basically felt like you didn't exist anymore. Like a whisper nobody hears.
It's a deeply unsettling thought.
It really is. And today, that's what we're diving into. It's this really chilling first-hand account called The Unraveling of Silas Croft Dark Psychological Horror. And our goal here is to sort of unpack this guy's terrifying slide out of reality, all told in his own words. We'll look at the first little signs, the fear building up, and I guess the big questions it raises about who we are, about memory.
And it's important to remember, this whole deep dive is based entirely on Silas Croft's own account. It's his description of this bizarre, horrifying week where he just starts being forgotten.
Yeah, his perspective. So let's start with Silas himself. He paints himself as, peculiar, a bit odd.
He uses words like slightly off.
Right. And he collects keys to doors that he says no longer exist, wears tweed vests when it's boiling hot outside, talks to shadows in his apartment.
He has this real connection, he says, to his apartment, his small, damp place. Like they have a mutual understanding, he calls it.
Yeah, and he even finds the smell, dust and decay, oddly comforting.
And what's really interesting there psychologically is that he's comfortable with this oddness initially. It makes it unique, sure, but people notice it. He's seen as peculiar.
Okay.
And that really speaks to how our sense of self isn't purely internal, right? It's built up and sort of confirmed by how others see us, how they remember us, even the memory of our quirks.
So when that starts to go.
Exactly. When that external validation fades, our whole identity feels like it's under attack.
And that's what starts happening to Silas. It begins really subtly, almost dismissively. The first frayed edge, as he calls it.
At the coffee shop.
Yeah, the daily grinder. His usual place. Orders his usual black coffee, 2 sugars. Done it maybe 5 times a week for a year.
Right? Routine.
But the barista, June, who he knows, she just looks at him blankly, asks his name, says something like, "Don't think I've had a regular Silas before."
Oof.
He says he laughed it off. June's memory is like a sieve anyway, he thinks. But then he admits it felt specific, weirdly specific, not just her usual forgetfulness.
And that's key, isn't it? That initial attempt to rationalize it. It's like a micro erasure, you could call it, a tiny weird disconnect.
Micro erasure. Okay.
Your brain tries to slide into something normal, like, oh, she just forgot. But as his story shows, this was different. It was the first little sign that something was fundamentally wrong.
And it doesn't take long for the next sign. Just, 2 days later, he runs into his downstairs neighbor, Mrs. Gable.
Ah, yes. The one with the porcelain dolls.
The horrifying collection, he calls them. Yeah. And she usually says hello, sometimes comments on his jackets. He mentions he was wearing a vintage emerald velvet one. Memorable.
Definitely noticeable.
But this time, nothing. She just stares like he's a stranger, literally blocking her way. Mutters something about cat food. Zero recognition.
And this is where the pattern starts to bite, right?
Oh, so.
Well, Silas points out that his weirdness, his eccentricity, it usually got some kind of reaction before, maybe just a look, but something. Now, he's getting nothingness.
Ah, okay.
It's not just that they don't remember him. It's like he's not even registering. Like a kind of social invisibility starting to creep in. And that's where his identity stops being just peculiar and starts becoming, terrifyingly empty, a void.
That's a chilling thought. And things really speed up from there, don't they? The unraveling accelerates.
Dramatic.
He goes to the library, which he calls his sanctuary, sees Mr. Abernathy, the librarian. This is someone who, Silas says, knows his reading habits better than I do.
So another familiar face, another part of his routine.
Exactly. He hands over some books he's returning, and Mr. Abernathy just looks at him, eyes completely blank, and says, What was it?
Something like, Silas Croft doesn't ring a bell, I'm afraid. Are you a new member?
Right, new member. Silas just, he stumbles back, knocks over a pile of books, and basically runs out of there, panicked.
And you can understand why. This is where you start thinking about things like derealization, that feeling of being detached, like reality itself is warping.
Yeah.
Because it's systematic now. People who absolutely should know him, people woven into his daily life, his history, they're all blank. It's not just memory loss anymore. It feels like reality itself is attacking his existence. The library, his safe space, suddenly becomes part of his erasure.
And the feeling just bleeds out into the wider world, doesn't it? He says the city itself feels different. Colder, sharper, distant, muted. Not the comforting cacophony he used to feel.
Yeah, the whole atmosphere shifts for him.
And people on the street, it's not just that they don't recognize him. He says they didn't even seem to notice my presence, like he wasn't there.
Which leads to that truly chilling moment.
Oh, the businessman, yeah. He's walking along and walks headfirst, he says, right into a businessman who's staring at his phone.
And the reaction.
Nothing. The guy doesn't flinch, doesn't say sorry, doesn't even seem to register that someone just walked into him. He just keeps walking. Right through the space Silas was occupying a second before.
Wow.
And that's when it hits Silas, really hits him. He says, it was like walking through a ghost. I felt like the ghost.
That's the terrifying shift, isn't it? It moves beyond simply being forgotten. Now he feels imperceptible.
Yeah.
Like he's losing his actual physical foothold in the world. It's not about their memory anymore. It's about his very tangibility in their reality.
He's becoming a non-entity.
Exactly. The ultimate isolation.
So naturally he panics. He desperately needs connection, needs a known face. He rushes home thinking about his older sister, Beatrice.
The one person he felt truly understood him.
Yeah, his particular brand of stranges, as he puts it. He calls her, texts her, over and over, straight to voicemail. No reply. Just silence.
That must have been crushing.
He describes this despair, cold and heavy, settling in. And then he does something, well, almost symbolic. He puts on his brilliant, impractical scarlet trench coat.
Ah, the coat.
Yeah. Why do you think he does that?
It feels like a desperate attempt to be seen, doesn't it? To be undeniable. That bright scarlet. It's like he's trying to physically shout, I'm here, look at me. Trying to anchor himself back into reality with something visible, something loud.
A visual anchor.
Right. But the horror is, it doesn't work. He says people still just float around me, their eyes sliding over my form without registering it. It just highlights how futile these external gestures are when the problem is this deep, this existential. If your existence depends on others remembering you and they don't, what's left?
Nothing to hold on to.
Pretty much.
So he makes one last, final attempt. He goes to Beatrice's apartment building. He knows the doorman, Frank. Frank always comments on his peculiar outfits, a known interaction.
Okay, so maybe Frank.
He calls out to Frank. Frank's polishing his glasses. He looks up and looks directly at the wall behind me, Silas says, and asks, can I help you?
Oh, no.
Silas desperately says, it's me, Silas Croft, Beatrice's brother. And Frank just reaches for the security phone, says he's going to call someone because Silas is a trespasser.
Wow, that's the final nail, isn't it?
It seems like it. Well, what does that signify, that moment?
It's the complete demolition of his social world, his connections, even someone linked to his closest family member, someone he knows he's interacted with regularly, sees him not just as a blank, but as an outsider, a threat.
A trespasser.
Yeah. It confirms he's not just forgotten, he's actively alien now. It's moved beyond memory into, like, a fundamental exclusion from the social fabric he belonged to.
He's just completely broken by this. He just runs until he collapses on a bench in some small, forgotten park. That scarlet coat he put on to be seen, he says it now feels like a shroud.
The symbolism is brutal.
And then the full realization hits him. They were forgetting me, he says. Everyone. Not just strangers, not acquaintances, but the people closest to him. His name, his face just vanishing from their minds, from their sight. He says, I was becoming a gap in reality. A note struck that nobody heard.
A gap in reality. That's a terrifying way to put it.
And then there's this moment of bitter irony. He takes out those keys he collects, remember?
The useless keys to doors that no longer exist.
Right. And he realizes he's holding these keys. This person who was ceasing to exist in the minds of others.
It's a perfect tragic parallel. His eccentric hobby mirroring his existential fate. His identity becoming as useless, as non-functional as those keys.
He ends his account just spiraling into these horrifying questions. How long until he's completely gone? Until he can walk through a crowd and nobody even feels a chill of my passing? Until his apartment's empty just because the landlord forgot who was paying the rent?
That's the logistics of non-existence.
Yeah. Until maybe even the shadows in his room stop acknowledging him. The ultimate horror, he concludes, isn't just dying or disappearing. It's being left behind utterly, completely, and terrifyingly alone in a world that had simply forgotten I was ever here.
And that fear is so specific, isn't it? It's not oblivion exactly. It's consciousness combined with absolute non-recognition, being the sole witness to your own erasure while the world just carries on.
A living ghost.
Precisely. It's the ultimate existential isolation. It forces you to think about, well, what is consciousness if it's completely untethered from shared reality? What is identity then?
So we've just walked through this incredibly chilling story, Silas Croft's unraveling, this slow slide into being forgotten, into isolation.
Yeah, it really makes you confront how fragile our own sense of reality, our connection to the world, might actually be.
And how much our identity seems to be wrapped up in, well, other people remembering us.
It really poses that fundamental question, doesn't it? If our existence, our whole sense of being here, is constantly sort of validated by others, by their shared memory of us, what happens when that validation just stops, when the memories vanish?
So the question we leave you with is, what does it actually mean to exist if you are the only one left who remembers you were ever here?
And maybe even scarier.
Right.
What happens when even your own memory starts to fade?